Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I'm going to cover for you guys the Pendlay row, or as I like to call it, just the row, or as Glenn Pendlay called it, just the row. This has been heavily requested, so I'm going to try to do this at 5 a.m. Hopefully there won't be too many garbage trucks and delivery trucks and everything else beeping at 5 a.m., but I can't guarantee that will not happen here. So there may be some background noise. Hopefully we're good. The problem we have with the row is that everyone does it wrong. Not everyone, but a lot of people do. They don't understand how to use it, and then they wonder how I've got the back development that I have using the row as the primary movement. And I generally believe that the Pendlay row is the best overall exercise for overall back development. Not pull-ups, not chin-ups, and I'm a big fan of those movements. Right? I'm someone who has heavily promoted those exercises. I think they're phenomenal. I think the row will beat them for overall back development. And it has to do with the way that you use it and how you program it. And it's because done correctly, you can do massive numbers of sets of this. And done correctly, it will hit the lats just as hard. Maybe not always guaranteed on a set per set basis, but over the course of what you can do in a week and recover from it will, in addition to the fact that it flat builds erectors, traps, rear delts, all of that better than pull-ups and chin-ups do. There is no contest there. The pull-up and chin-up cannot compete for those muscles, even remotely. So the problem is that everyone sets it up wrong, and we're going to do my typical noob mistakes. This is what a noob looks like when they try to Pendlay row, right? They come down to the bar, elbows bent, all right, I got this. Ooh. Ooh. All right, that's almost what it looks like. And you get guys who will say, well, I Pendlay row more than you. I'm like, well, what do you deadlift? What's your back look like? Like, well, I can do sets with 225. I can do a 315 Pendlay row. Like, well, film yourself. And then they come back and say, yeah, you're right. I move about 12 feet every time. Like, my torso almost flies to the ceiling on every rep. And I'm exaggerating, but that's how bad it is. I'll tell you right now, if you can do 10 reps of 225 on a Pendlay row and you think you're doing it right, and you don't deadlift 600, 700 pounds, there's a problem. So when I get guys who come and tell me they deadlift 450, no, you probably need to be Pendlay rowing 135. So the main issue is the setup. Number one, people say, well, how do you set your back angle? Your back angle is set by the range of motion. That's why I've had people come and say, well, if you stood on blocks, when you get a longer range of motion. I'm like, no. Like, why would you? The range of motion is when your lats are spread all the way out, and then you touch your chest. If you're standing on something, all you're going to do is change your back angle. Your back angle should be set by the range of motion. So what's the range of motion? Okay, when I say your scapula are spread, I mean when you're bent over, your scapula come apart, okay, like this. You don't row like this from the bottom. Your scapula should not be pulled in. They should have full protraction. They should be spread apart. Your start position, the bar should be maybe midfoot, maybe over the toes, depending on how you're built. You bend down, you spread your lats, and you lock your elbows out. Okay, the elbows out is important. We'll get to that in a minute. Elbows out, scapula spread, you bend down, shoulder width grip. Grip the bar, deep breath, this is your position, okay? Notice my elbows are out. If my elbows are in, I have to pull my torso down. That is not a complete range of motion. Elbows out, look at the torso angle change. In, out. Notice my scapula completely spread. Grip the bar. That's a Pendlay row. Why do we lock the elbows? You get a lot of guys who talk about elbow tendonitis, bicep tendonitis from the Pendlay row. They'll say they don't feel their lats. They feel their biceps more because you're using the biceps to pull it off the floor. Here's what I mean. You come over to the bar to do it. If your elbows are in, your biceps are engaged, right? Right? You have a little bit of bend in the elbow. The biceps are now engaged. It also means your lats won't be spread as much. What initiates the first inch, the biceps. And I'm not saying we don't want bicep involvement in a row. Everybody wants bigger biceps. I don't care who you are. Nothing wrong with using some bicep on your row. The biceps get worked up here. And when you get here, this is really where you want the biceps to be working, right? At their efficient position, where they can really contract harder to help you finish through at the top. The bottom, you want the lats to pop it off the floor. And if your elbows are locked, the biceps are disengaged. Right? If we're out here, the biceps are disengaged. They're not able to pull. Your lats have to break it off the floor. Then you tuck the elbows in. Once the weight has started moving, it's just one gradual motion. You shouldn't be concentrating on it. So I don't want people to think you're trying to keep the elbows locked, because you can't just snatch the weight up. You can't pull it up, right? It would be silly if you try to do it. How are you going to, you can't pull it apart like a band pull apart. But you want to lock the elbows. I had someone actually ask me that. Well, how should I keep the elbows locked all the way up? You can't. So the elbows are locked. And then as you pull up, they turn in. But you're going to get an inch or two of movement before the elbows break back in. And that's when the biceps start to get further involved. But what you're going to find, it's going to take that pain off the tendon if you're getting it. And it's going to make you really, really use your lats a lot. Because we come down, the elbows are locked out. Notice the lats are stretched further. When you turn them in here, notice my lats pulled in more. The lat range of motion has now been reduced. For out, you feel a stretch right here. When you do that, your lats pop the weight off the floor. Notice my elbows didn't move yet. Then they come in. So that's a Pendlay row. Now notice my torso doesn't swing up and down. Why? What happens as we get higher? The higher you get, more trap gets involved, the less lat gets involved. At least upper trap. We don't need to build upper traps with our rows. They're going to get built anyways doing various exercises, and they'll get some stimulation anyways. It lets you cheat. You're using more and more weight, but you're not getting more lat stimulation. Okay? Tension matters. Weight on a bar matters, but if you're just cheating the weight up, you're not getting more lat involvement. You're not using hip drive and everything else. It interferes with your recovery. You're not getting one drop more muscular development. It interferes with your recovery. Now let's come over to the other point. What happens with the posterior chain when we do this? My hamstrings are tight, erectors are tight, the posterior chain is now being trained isometrically. Okay, does that carry over to your deadlift? This helps you with your deadlift start position. It helps you learn to maintain isometric strength at the start of a deadlift. And it teaches you how to use your lats at that point. So it will carry over better to your deadlift for most people in terms of, again, learning to set up tight. Okay, if you can learn to set up tight and maintain that isometric strength by not moving the torso, that's going to teach you how to set your deadlift up better, while giving you more muscle recruitment in the whole middle back and make it easier to recover from. And if it's easier to recover from, what happens? We can do more volume. We can grow faster. In addition to being better grip work, because we're forced to use a lighter weight, there's no reason to ever use straps or anything on this. It just builds your grip. And because we're able to do more volume, we get more grip training. You get more forearm work. But you shouldn't be cheating. Your torso shouldn't be moving. And I do mean that. Like, if you guys can do these with 135 with perfect form for sets of 10, your deadlift's going to get strong. Combine that with getting strong on a good morning, that'll build a conventional deadlift for most of you guys. It really will. But again, look at the isometrics involved. You're coming over to the bar. Bar for me is reaches about my pinky toe, not quite midfoot. Lats out, elbows locked. Grip the bar. For those curious, shoulder width, right here, shoulder width. straight up and down. You want your arms to be 90 degrees from the floor. Elbows are out. They're locked. Lats are spread. Notice I'm looking down still. Full lungs. Pull in tight. Isometric through the posterior chain. Boom. Hit the same spot you hit on a bench press, the low chest. That's a full range of motion. Okay? You've worked the lats through their full range of motion by doing that. But the key is the lats have to be spread apart at the bottom. Okay, now some people would say silly stuff. Do you try to hold it at the top? No. The hell's wrong with you? You don't need to train the isometrics of the lats at the top. The deadlift and other lifts will do that for you. You're going to bleed energy. Waste of time on this lift. But you do need to make sure you spread the scapula and then you retract them. Pendlay row, straightforward. The setup is everything. If you can set up, that's everything. The setup, that's the whole exercise. Because there's almost no movement. That's it. This is everything you need to know to Pendlay row. Because that's all you do. One of the most simple exercises in the world that everybody messes up. And they don't check their ego. They try to use too much weight. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.